seen a lot of stuff out here. And I've seen enough out here to understand why these truths might not be for everybody. Why it might be something where you've got to put a little bit of sweat into it. You got to make that pilgrimage. You got to go into that cave. You got to drink that potion. It's experiential. It's not about telling the story. It's not about sharing it on Instagram. It's about living something. Umbra, Viventis, Lucis is meant to evoke the spirit of these ancient mystery religions and experiences, communing with the divine on that experiential level, not on an academic level or a literary level.
Okay, Robert, you are being recorded. We are approaching the golden hour. We're approaching the golden hour. Skinwalker Ranch is framed behind you. I'm looking over at the their main HQ over there. What's going on? We were just setting up to get some content, and something happened, huh?
Yeah, so the chair's just like this in this spot. Okay. Put my hand, I go to stand up. Oh, we just did it. Okay. I'm getting shocked. And that's a true story. I can't see any electric cables out here. There's no thunderstorm. This is not static electricity. This is a real... yeah, every time I go to stand up, put pressure on there. It's gone now.
I'm going to ask, is it only in your right hand?
It's only in my right hand. It's only in this spot right here where this leg goes down into the ground. So, are there... Let's kick it up a little bit. I don't want to ruin it. Okay. Are there... it just hurt. Electrical cables out here somewhere? I mean, there is absolutely nothing immediately. That's where it was. Yeah, those they weren't little. They weren't little. It's not static electricity. These are real shocks. I mean, it hurt. They bite. Oh, son of a... Okay, that was both hands.
Wow.
What do we do about that? I don't know what to make of it. I don't know why that's the case. A couple of weeks ago, I came out, hung out with Ray and some friends. We were around the fire. A little bit of sprinkles, so there was some on and off rainy weather. And right over the mesa behind me, kind of right beneath the clouds in a way, that's a light appeared, and it was a golden light. And I would say that it had a different quality. It was not an airplane. It was not a drone that I would know of. No blinking lights. It was not a helicopter for sure. It moved across the sky, moved underneath the clouds, illuminating the clouds almost in a 360 degree. It was a pretty big light. And the way I describe it is a liquid golden light And it's almost like somewhere deep down inside there was a feeling to it. And I don't even know how to describe that because it doesn't sound right to say that, but it was as if it had a feeling to it, almost a taste. But that's still not the right word to use. But there was a quality to it. And the light moved south, moved directly over us, and disappeared into a rain curtain. And I thought, that was interesting. I didn't know what it was. Saturday night, just a few nights ago, Ray and I hung out again. We sat by the fire. We had some really neat discussions. Talking about everything from religion to spirituality to, just the unseen world that we're trying to understand. We know it's a part of our lives. We went for a walk in the shadows, and that was a neat experience. You turn off the lights and you walk down in the brush behind us, or walk down on the property and just get a feeling for the area. And one thing that I can say is Skinwalker Ranch is supposed to be scary. I felt no dread, no fear. I felt very peaceful out here. I think this is a beautiful place, but once again, what do you make? What do you make of strange things? It's still happening. I'm still getting shocked. And it's been going on for pretty near an hour, I think. Yeah. Why am I getting shocked? Well, is there an electrical field, an electromagnetic field around us that's particularly strong right here? I don't know. These are metal legs going down into the soil. But we dug down a little bit, Ray did. Put it down again. And I got shocked both hands, but it seems to be just mainly the right hand. But the first time I sat in the chair, it was quite a surprise because, you get a bite like that, you kind of surprises you, of course, and it was a good one. I don't know what else to say. It's quite an interesting experience. Ray, do you have any questions? Anything?
Yeah, I would love for you to speak to witnessing on your first visit. Sorry, we're gonna be right by that mic. Witnessing on your first visit other people having technologically induced visionary experiences, what you thought about hearing about those experiences, and then what it was like for you on your subsequent visit.
Okay, yes, I'm actually quite interested in this. Binaural beats, I've experimented a little bit with that on my own. But the flashing lights, I was under those lights for 15 minutes. I can say it really was quite a visual experience, and I was having fun with really just observing what the brain was doing with it, because they were purely white lights, and yet, of course, they start to translate into colors and designs, and that was one of the things that I thought was neat, was geometric patterns, changing geometric patterns, and then a tunnel effect. And that's what I thought. That was really interesting. And as I laid there, I tried not to let my thoughts get in the way. I tried to put myself into a meditative state of mind and let myself just observe the thoughts. And there was one thought that seemed to come out of nowhere, and it was the image of an all-seeing eye, the classical image of it. And then the thought of just almost like the word enlightenment. And I thought that was interesting, and I'm not going to begin to say, whether that came from somewhere else or if it came from somewhere deep in the unconscious. But, something to ponder, something that I'm already looking for, trying to understand. And so, a friendly confirmation of something I'd already been thinking of. But I have yet again to try the lights out for a longer period of time and see what happens. But that was my experience.
This is a fantastic spot to, meditate, to come just sit, visit, even lay down. This definitely is the home to wildlife, to say the least. And yeah, all the offerings that are left here. Thank you, Robert. I would say, whatever you feel comfortable with on these points, but I think good things to get are you came upon my table at Phenomicon.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know me from Adam. I wasn't even there, right? It was an empty table, I think.
At one point, there was one point where I walked past again and you were there. And we just struck up kind of a neat conversation.
If you wouldn't mind, start from the beginning, just 2 seconds. You were at Phenomicon, what that is, but just what I'd like to evoke is the act of faith you took from this crazy table at this crazy place, and you came out here, and effectively, I'd like to. You came out here and this crazy guy delivered.
Yeah, the Ray wasn't selling anything. That's what I thought was interesting. Is when he talked to me, I felt like there was nothing for sale. That he's a fellow seeker, a fellow explorer, you might say. And I enjoyed talking to him about what he, when he told me there was a property out here, of course I became interested. I thought that, that's really cool that he has this property and that he's able to bring groups of people together and come out, have wonderful conversations, and really try to explore consciousness in a place where there seems to be something a little out of the ordinary. I don't know. But it's peaceful out here. And I think it's a good location to sit around a fire, look up at the stars, and to think deeply, and to not be afraid to think deeply and talk about deep subjects. Speaking of stars, the other night, it was the first time in my life that I had ever seen the full arc of the Milky Way from one horizon to the other. That, just in and of itself, was a tremendously beautiful experience. And to me, I see the stars as the most ancient temple. The great dome of constellations and zodiac that tell a story. There are ancient stories attached to them. The deeper you go, the more you find the story of our human existence and progression. And to think that the constellations themselves, the recognition that there are shapes in the stars and stories attached to those, that they could be so deeply ancient, is just astounding to me, just exciting. And so it feels holy when I sit and I look up at those constellations and I think of the stories, and I can't help but think of God. Now that's something important to me. And so that was the experience I had sitting under the full arc of the Milky Way.
Amen. Okay, so Robert was just asking me about Umbra Viventis Lucis, the shadow of the living light. Umbra Viventis Lucis is Latin for the shadow of the living light. It was the term that Catholic Saint Hildegard von Bingen contextualized the visionary state that she would meet and speak to God and the angels in. And, Robert spoke very high praise about the value of time by our fire underneath the cosmic temple, and the fantastic places, the dialogues that you can find in that smoke and those shadows. Robert was turning me on to a lot of different thinkers, different philosophers, different mystics, and we were talking a bit about Emanuel Swedenborg, and there are a lot of parallels between Swedenborg's visions, the visionary states that he would enter, and those that Saint Hildegard would enter. Big differences were that Saint Hildegard was a strong devotee of Catholicism, and Swedenborg was a devout Protestant. Outside of that, these corporal, third-dimensional, political differences, matter not in the fourth dimension, in the true dimension of consciousness and soul and true reality, God to many. So Saint Hildegard would enter a visionary state and speak to the Father and to the angels, and she brought back incredible prophecy and ancient plain song and medieval art. She was a 12th century Bavarian mystic, and she's my patron saint. But we don't really, Umbra Viventis Lucis as a project is a veneration of the woman, not of her faith. She contextualized her visions, her mystical experiences through the only acceptable lens of her day, which was medieval Catholicism. As a recovering Catholic or a heretical Catholic, I am happy to sit here in the most haunted place on earth in crocodile teeth, looking extremely villainous, in a project that is named after a Catholic saint. Giving that one back to the church.
So, what are you trying to do out here? Because once again, I said my surprise was that you weren't trying to sell something. What are you trying to do?
Yeah, so Umbra Viventis Lucis is the best view of Skinwalker Ranch, and that's important because this is a highly energetic sacred space.
It was a highly energetic sacred space long before there was reality TV, long before there were white people here. This is an important place. This is a special place. The technology that I use to alter the consciousness of participants, to expand their, psychic antenna, to sharpen their soul knife, and improve the dialogue with the unseen world in this special place, creates this nexus, this very important nexus of, this is a place of portals. This is what the federal government studied here. John Oliver did a very respectful episode of Last Week Tonight on UFOs a few months ago, I believe. And the worst things he could say about the subject, especially regarding, this locale, were how much money Robert Bigelow donated to Ron DeSantis's presidential campaign, and how silly the illustrations from some of the studies that we paid for, you and I paid for. If the viewers of this content are in the United States, you paid for it with your tax dollars. The studying of portals to other places. The portal is not a door in this world, or it doesn't have to be. The portal you create. The portal is a synergy between you and this place and your expanded consciousness and the people who live in these shadows. We're trying to clarify what is often a obscure dialogue with the unseen world. And we have a pretty good success rate. People come, they have their visions, they get their meaning from it. Many people report dialogues. Many people ask questions, hard questions. And they get answers from something, somewhere. I'm not giving them the answers. I'm not the oracle. The participant is the oracle. This place is the oracle. I'm the temple attendant. I'm the guy sweeping the floors. There's nowhere else on earth that I'm aware of at a place like this with technology like we have where you can engage in these pursuits. That seems very special to me. I myself attribute being here, owning this technology, doing this work as a gift from the unseen world. It's entirely due to the guidance in my own life. I just work here. I don't understand it, but it's been incredibly transformative and beautiful in my life and the lives of my guests, many of whose lives were utterly transformed by their experiences here. Many have come as skeptics and leave as experiencers. It's really remarkable, and I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to have passed the audition to be sitting in this chair.
Ray, do me a favor. See if you can feel what I felt in that chair.
Right, yes.
We tried that already, but I want to try that again. Why is it just me?
Okay, so we tried this right away. As soon as Robert was reporting the electricity, I asked if I could sit down. I thought I would feel it immediately. And just, really absolutely nothing. I'm just gonna move it. I'm gonna move it back. Nothing.
How in places can you not feel that?
Well, I'm gonna sit back down and speculate on this a little bit. So look, you know, you've heard a lot of crazy stories about this place. And one of the most important stories we hear is the way that the lack of repeatability in phenomenology out here, and the way that that seems indicative of a conscious mind, an operator, a player on the other side of the board, that they're not going to repeat themselves. They're always going to be throwing you curveballs because you're playing baseball with the unseen. We have not experienced this before. As Robert had said, there's no power lines under here that I'm aware of. We've never experienced that with this chair, for instance. Strange electrical phenomena, yes, we have experienced. And yes, that is a authentic aspect to the phenomenology out here. That's an authentic aspect to the hitchhiker aspect of the phenomenology that, can return home with you. I don't want to talk too much right now as we're losing light, but, after my initial life-changing experience out here in 2019, I went home to New England and life got pretty strange. One of the weird things was coming home from work one day and a fire alarm or a CO2 detector on the wall was letting out a shrill, solid frequency, high-pitched frequency. This CO2 detector, I hadn't had any issues for a while, months, year, I don't know. But I have had to change the battery before. The tone that it makes is a beeping, and it's a high-pitched beeping, but not as high-pitched as the steady tone this CO2 detector was letting off as I'm unlocking the key to my Victorian riverfront New England home, and coming inside. And I go to the device, and it's melted. It's on the wall, and it's melted. And the batteries exploded inside of it. And they weren't, again, hadn't touched it for some time. The batteries had exploded. The juice, the acid is dripped out. It's melted the frame of this thing. Yet somehow, even with the batteries having exploded, it's letting out this solid frequency. And shit like that just kind of happens.
All right, Ray, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Hey, listen, I will say, I can't do, this is my calling. That's why Robert didn't feel like he was being sold anything. I am of the same tribe. I am someone who would be at a place like the conference that we met at. I was led to this land, to the ownership of this land, stewardship of this land. I was led to the technology, and I thought I was being led to all of this stuff for my own spiritual edification. And then I realized that there was a debt. It's not about me. It's not necessarily about me. It's not about my spiritual journey. It's about doing this for people like Robert. If he didn't take the leap of faith to talk to someone like me and say, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to roll some dice with my life. Come out to this guy's property at the most haunted place on earth at night. See what happens. Hope for the best. If people didn't do that, and a lot of the people who do that are people's grandmothers, and if these incredible people didn't take these leaps of faith, I wouldn't be able to do this for anyone but me. And it's such a special thing. It's such a special experience. It's not just for me. So thank you.
12 sound speeding. All right. Yep, I did it again. Okay. I think that this will edit out to be a beautiful, beautiful interview. I really appreciate this.
Robert, I get the hell out of here. I appreciate it, man.
I face the rain again.